Hey, what's up guys? Blake Snodgrass here with Agency Collective. What you're going to see today is highlights from one of the most recent guest speakers we've had in Agency Collective. In case you don't know, Agency Collective, we don't just have curriculum and client acquisition systems and daily workshops and huddles where we can help you, literally handhold you through the process of growing your agency. We also have really killer keynotes and guest speakers. And today I'm going to be showing you the highlights from our most recent one, Mr. James Wilder, who is an amazing professional copywriter who has written all the copy and ads and email marketing for some really large heavy hitter type of campaigns in direct response marketing for many different consultancies and programs and things like that. So anyways, I'm about to show you all the highlights from that. This is not going to be some crazy, fast-paced, hyper-edited type of video. It's going to be a sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and be ready to take in a lot of value type of video. Highly recommend you take notes. But if you're a digital marketer or a marketing consultant, this is going to show you exactly how to get inside of the mind of your ideal client avatar and write copy that will cause them to come to you and buy your stuff at a much higher rate than what they are now, okay? So having said that, we'll jump over to the highlights, and just so you know, we still are doing the free trial for Agency Collective. You can view that resource by clicking the link below in the description. See you guys later. Let a couple people hop on, but guys, this is Mr. James Wilder. Oh snap, we got Bobby in the room too. Bobby just hopped on.
Here.
I was just about to mention Bobby. Guys, you saw Bobby speak to our community. When was it, Bobby? It's probably like 3 weeks ago, I think. 2 or 3 weeks ago. And when I say it was like the most value-packed, like ninja level stuff out of most of the guest speakers we've had in the recent past or ever, it was amazing. Bobby, I'm actually going to be implementing a lot of the stuff you taught for our ads within the next couple of days, and I'm actually really excited about it. But guys, this is James Wilder, Bobby's partner, right? And what's the actual company name?
Adfellas.
Adfellas, that's right.
Yeah.
Y'all go way back. I remember Adfellas from back when I was in y'all's training community, like years ago. So
Boiler Room.
I think before that. Local Marketing Masters.
Right.
Yeah,
that was before my time even.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, Bobby was. It's funny. Some of what Bobby was teaching a couple weeks ago about the like audience segmenting type of stuff, like all that ninja level stuff, like he was talking about years ago, he's had that stuff figured out for a long time. And so you are equally, or maybe even more ninja level when it comes to sales psychology and copywriting and all this stuff we're going to be talking about today. So let's dive in, man. We got a few people hopping on, like 10 or so. More people will hop on, but guys, this is Mr. James Wilder. You want to just tell us like who you are, what you do nowadays, and then I know you had some stuff to share with us today, teaching-wise, which I personally am super excited about. But yeah, man, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I've been in the digital marketing space since like 2010. Started freelance copywriting around 2017 maybe, and then a couple years into it, I got brought on to Bobby's team, and then within 6 months got promoted into the CMO role, and then just been doing that ever since. So kind of behind the scenes, working on a lot of high ticket offers, and pretty much the way that I view copy is that it is not nearly as complex or mysterious as anybody acts like it is. I don't really know why they do it the way. I don't know why it's like presented that way. I don't know if it's copywriters actually believe that they're that talented or what it is, but
because we're copywriters and we're trained to make things seem like a unique mechanism. We're trained to make things seem special.
That is totally possible.
So we automatically add a dash of mystery to
right. And so then it makes other people feel like, oh, I can't figure it out. It's super complex. There's all these nuances taking place that I don't even really understand. I mean, even Bobby falls for that. I mean, he wants me to teach him copy, and I'm like, man, you probably write better copy than I do, but he thinks that he's missing something, but it's like, no, it's all there. So I'll be showing you one of the kind of strategies, I guess, to be able to write really good copy at any time. And then also, I didn't mention it, but as I was putting this training together, I was like, so much of this stuff can be automated with AI now. So I'll just show you guys how to use AI. So I'll teach you kind of the idea behind it, and then I'll show you how to use AI to do it. So it really will be 80-20 copywriting. It'll be a lot easier than probably what you're used to. So
nice. I love that. I've been trying to get consistent with my email marketing. So therefore, I've been trying to leverage AI, but I'm definitely looking forward to hearing about that, because you just ask AI, you just ask ChatGPT, like, hey, write me an email marketing campaign. It's just going to come out really cheesy and bland, right? So I'm interested to hear how you do it. But yeah, dude, let's dive in. And again, thank you on behalf of everyone, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And to the email point, we still struggle to get it to where we want to from an email perspective. So it's really good for ads and things, because it's, you can change ads, but once you send that email is sent forever, right? So you really want your email to almost be a higher quality than your ads, because you can test and tweak ads on the fly. And so we do have a problem. We struggle with that as well. But what I'll show you, and kind of like what I think is the missing piece of the puzzle for a lot of people with using AI for copywriting, I'll show you that part, and then it'll be a lot easier to produce stuff. So, all right, let me see if I can figure out how to share my screen.
Yep, it should be right next to the end call button. So careful.
All right. I'm not going to put this thing into animate mode because I'll probably screw it all up. Let's see here.
By the way, guys, as we go, I told James I would kind of watch the chat. So if y'all have any questions, y'all let me know. Actually, I'm just looking at it for the first time. Jody was talking about how Bobby Sock's presentation was so good. No questions yet, but I'll watch the chat for us as we get going, James.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I wish I would have gone before Bobby, because it's like I'm opening, I'm going after Chris Rock here. It's the wrong way around. But I'll try and make this valuable. All right, so yeah, 80/20 copywriting, as I said, will be infusing AI through it. There's some stuff that's just kind of non-negotiable, like you want to be able to write high converting copy as fast as possible. You don't want to go through all the stuff leading up to that, like figuring out what the avatar is, the awareness levels, but they are important. But I think there's an easy way to kind of approach it. And so that's what I'll be going through here. So avatars, figure out exactly who you're speaking to without wasting any of your time with research. Then we'll talk about the awareness levels. So you're speaking to them at exactly where they are. Then how do you take all that information and then turn it into the different angles that you're going to attack the market with? And then we'll talk about authority. So it's funny because I've been talking to other people about this. It's like people who have been in the game for a long time, and you start realizing like all it really just comes down to is authority over everything else that you do. So I'll talk about that. And then I'll talk about kind of the trick that I showed Bobby. And the one that actually this trick is kind of a big deal because it landed me this gig, because I was up against like two or three other copywriters. And the secret to how I landed the gig was the CMO at the time gave me his sales letter that he thought was really good. And I just reverse engineered the entire sales letter and then wrote my sales letter to that flow. And I submitted that. And he called me and he's like, this thing is great, and it got me the job. But it's also been, I've used that same strategy with, I wrote for a financial publisher, which for people who don't know is like the top echelon of copy. It's like financial publishing and supplements. That's like the most difficult copy to write. And I wasn't really experienced, but he would send me sales letters and I would just reverse engineer them. And then I would just go and write to that. So it was like really took the difficulty of like, the arduous battle of figuring out the flow of the copy, which I think is a big problem people have, because they're sitting there going like, oh, okay, what am I going to say here? Right.
Yeah.
So the first thing we'll dive into is the avatar stuff. So the quote that I've always loved is, I want to be able to write a page of my prospect's diary. So you want to be able to understand your avatar at such a deep level that you could write a page of their diary. That's the idea behind it. I heard an updated version that I like even more, which is, what is the conversation they're having with themselves on the way home from work? Right. So all the stuff that's coming up, like, can't believe John said that. I gotta go home and make dinner. I hope the dishes are done. Like whatever's going on through their heads, that's what you want to be able to tap into. Because if you can grab onto one of those thoughts, everything flows, right? So it's kind of like if you go to a doctor and you're like, love all the graphics here, but if you go to the doctor and you're like, I got like a burning sensation in my hands. And the doctor says, okay, can you do me a favor? Can you stand on one foot and kind of bend your elbow? And both of those areas become like inflamed, right? And you didn't even know that was an issue. Then you'll automatically believe that he has the solution to whatever your problems are, right? Because that's the other side of the avatar research is like if you can describe a person's problem to them better than they can themselves, they'll automatically believe you have the solution.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So if you think about all those things like the diary, the ride home, and the driving home from work, and then being able to understand that all so well that you can, and then tag that into describing their problems that clearly, they'll have to believe you. They'll have to believe that you know exactly what's going on with them and that you can then solve their problem, even if you don't have the solution. Right. Like I remember talking to a guy who put out this great product, and I was saying like, man, it was teed up for the upsell because you had everybody was like sitting there dying to hear the next thing because you were describing everything that's going on in the industry so well and all this stuff. And he just admitted, he's like, dude, I don't even know how to solve these problems. But everybody was willing, like ready to throw that guy hundreds or thousands of dollars to solve it for them, right? Because he knew it so clearly. He knew the problem so clearly. So that's really all I kind of think about when it comes to avatar research. And then the next part of it is that you have to go through and fill out kind of these old avatar maps, right? And this was like the worst thing in the world. And this is, nobody ever did it. People would say that they did it, but nobody would do it. And so that's why this is like the new way, the 80/20 way is using ChatGPT. And that's where ChatGPT comes in really, really well. Yep. So I'm going to switch over. I'm going to be sharing this bot with you guys. Like I'll give you guys the link after the call and you guys can use this. But I'll be using it as we go through this so you can actually see, fundamentally what we're attempting to do, how to use the bot, and then ultimately get to your end goal with it. So let me see.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I just put in the chat for everyone a link to the part of Agency Collective where we talk about that same thing. Like we have a TAM worksheet here in Agency Collective, like a total addressable market worksheet, and it's all that same kind of stuff, right? Like what keeps them up at night? What are they internally complaining about or laboring over on the way home from work, right? What things do the competitors in their industry do just because that's the way it's always been done, but we can kill by giving them a new strategy? Like all these types of things that are super, super important. So
yeah,
that's good to hear, like a top level copywriter like you be like, hey, no, it actually is important to do that level of research beforehand.
Yeah, it's pretty much everything. Yeah, everyone just tries to skip it, and then you're making assumptions about what they're interested in. And then as we go through this training, it's like people are so jaded. Nobody wants to pay attention to anything that you have to say if you understand that part of it, right? And so like the only way to really grab them is to understand them at a super deep level. Because everybody's dying to be understood, right? Everybody thinks that they're misunderstood. Everybody has something deeper going on. So if you can get it to the point where it's like almost creepy that you know them so well, that's where you're writing the best copy. Yeah. All right. So here's the bot. Again, I'll be sharing with you, so don't worry about it. But we'll just so everyone's essentially an agency owner, right? Maybe we should do this as an example.
Yeah. Most people in here are agency owners in the 10 to 50K per month range, who a lot of them market to local business type crowd, a lot of the home service space or medical space or like stuff like that. Most of them selling SEO, Google ads, Facebook ads, different performance marketing packages, things like that.
All right. So say generate leads for electricians in the United States, something like that. So it would be what would be like the ideal goal that you're trying to get for the client?
What's the goal result for you have for your clients? Generate more customers for them, make their phone ring and help them, increase their customer base.
Okay, so there's another one. So we're gonna like, what would be a result where they're literally like pinching themselves?
Like their inbound call volume is doubled within the next 90 days.
Okay, so this is where, okay. So it'll come through and it'll put together an avatar for you. You want to go through if there's anything that's missed here. So maybe take a quick look through this.
Yeah. Very kids. Yeah, cool.
Okay. And then this is a negative avatar, which is also extremely helpful for you to figure out who you don't want to talk to.
Yeah,
And you can kind of throw rocks at them in your copy when you're clear on this person.
for sure.
Um,
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the phrase like good copy qualifies, great copy disqualifies.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
Okay.
one of our, too big for this training to go into, but we have this welcome sequence. And when I wrote the welcome sequence, it does amazing numbers, right? And when I wrote it, I really just sat down and wrote it from the perspective of like, who do I absolutely not want to be in this thing? And I just threw rocks at them. But then everybody else who engages, and I have links in there saying like, do you agree? And they click those links. It's something like they represent people who click the links inside of that welcome sequence represent 40 to 60% of our actual buyers on the back end. So just the behavior of them clicking those links. And for the most part, again, which I'll go into in a little bit here, but again, it's pretty much just me being like, there's almost an element, not anger, but an element of just frustration of dealing with the wrong avatar and being like, all right, I'm going to put an end to it now.
Yeah, totally.
And attacking them. So, all right, so that looks good. Looks good. And then what this is going to go do is it's going to do all the avatar research for you. So it'll fill out what are their goals, dreams, and desires. What specific goals do they have? What dreams? And then I'm going to get this to just go through right to the finish line. But it'll just, what you want to do is just keep coming back and reading through it and being like, maybe that's not quite right, and just correcting it. And it'll correct it again, and it'll just keep going through. So that's good. Like if I was building this out for a real avatar, I'd sit here and actually work with it a lot more versus just, taking it to the next step. So what are their excuses? Looks good. Struggles and failures. And I'll be showing you guys how to, leverage all this information. Okay. So what are their pain points? So you can see here, like this is way, way easier than the old way of doing it. And so the biggest part of this, though, too, isn't just the avatar research. Is a lot of people go to ChatGPT or AI or whatever it is that they're using and say, write me an email about this topic, blah, 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 blah. And then it spits out really crappy copy.
Yep.
But what you actually want is you want a ChatGPT window that's seeded with all of this information, and then you can go back to it, and then you can ask it to do that stuff, because now it has all the topics or all the content that it needs about who you're specifically trying to target.
Yeah,
because AI is like has all the data in the world, and then you're like, write me an email to this person, and it's like, well, that's a pretty broad request considering I know everything in the world.
Yeah, it can end up being pretty bland. Super random, like technical question about ChatGPT, because you probably used it more than me. Like after you do all this avatar research, like what you're doing right here, right now, if you want to say, okay, like take this data and write a pain-focused email broadcast or email campaign that's, a couple paragraphs long with a call to action, yada, yada. Do you need to do it in this in this window right here, or can you have another window? Like, do you need to start this over every single time you're trying to produce a piece of copy?
Yeah. So what I would do is, so you use the same window every time to speak to that specific avatar. So like I would go and rename it, and say like Mark the electrician or whatever it is, whatever the avatar name is. And then whenever you want to write something to that person, you pop into this window. It does sometimes these windows, I don't know what's happening, is it's just trying to store too much memory. It doesn't have enough. Sometimes it stops recalling it properly. And so what I'll do is I'll just copy paste everything that is done, and then I'll just paste it into a new window and then just use it. I'll just take the avatar section of it. I won't bring over like the emails and everything that I've used it to write. And then I'll just start talking to it in the new window.
It's kind of archiving the 5 minutes, really is how fast it was. Archiving the 5 minutes worth of avatar research in like a Google Doc or something, just in case you lose that window.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I do not do that, but that is a wise decision. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Lloyd asks, so you built this custom GPT? Yeah, you guys built this, right?
Yeah. And I'll share this. So originally what this came from was, so selling water in the desert is kind of this idea that I came up with like everyone prides themselves on that they can sell ice to Eskimos. It's like, why would you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to just sell water in the desert, right? Because if someone's been like trudging through the desert for 3 days and sweltering hot and they're dying of thirst, and you have a water stand, that person isn't going to ask you how much is the water or anything, right? They're going to give you everything they have to buy that water from you. So that's the scenario that you want to get yourself into. And so the way to do that is to get like super clear on who the avatar is, and then slotting your offer into solving all those pain points super clearly. And originally this was an absurdly long document that I'd put together that nobody would ever fill out. And so I put it into this kind of this bot.
Nice.
So
like this. Well, if you're giving us a link to this GPT, this may just replace my badgering some of our Agency Collective members to fill out an old school TAM worksheet then.
Right. Because it's the worst. I mean, copyright, everybody hates filling those sheets out.
Yeah. This comes up with, I mean, like, obviously all the data that ChatGPT has access to, like it's gonna really think through it at a level that you might not even if you sat down with a sheet of paper,
Right. I mean, like if you really wanted to get super deep, because we're, this is the quick and easy way to use it. But I would just badger it over this, like getting super. I would keep adding stuff to it. I'd be tweaking stuff with it so ChatGPT is just extremely clear on what you're trying to accomplish. And then all of these outputs that it's doing will be that much better, right? So it just keeps going through hidden results. I think we're coming close to the end of what we're going to use for this portion of it. Again, I'd be reading through and correcting it if this was actually for something that I was going to write to. All right, so we'll stop at the one sentence persuasion. We'll keep going. Does anybody have any questions about the avatar stuff right now? We're going to jump into awareness levels next.
Lloyd asked, so how much money do I need to give you to get a copy of this bot?
However much you want to give me, but I'll give it to you for free.
Yeah. I told him you said you're going to give it to our members for free, but if you guys work out a deal, if Lloyd wants to hook you up, then
right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you want to pay me, we're cool. All right. Let me stop sharing this one, and then I'll pop back over to the presentation. All right, awareness levels. So on top of the avatar, then you want to start figuring out like what is this person's awareness level. And awareness levels are just, if you're not aware of the awareness levels, it's just how aware are they of your offer, and then you keep walking backwards from it, right? So unawares, they have no idea that your product or service even exists. They don't even understand that they really have a problem. And then you move down into the problem aware. So they're aware that they have a problem, but they don't actually know that there's solutions that necessarily exist for that problem. And the problem is, we'll go into this in a second here, but the markets keep getting smaller, right? So unaware is the largest market there is. There's a lot less people who know that there's an opportunity to build a digital marketing agency than there are that are aware of it, right? So yeah, as you go down, solution aware, they know that there's different solutions. So maybe this person is someone who's figured out that there's several different ways to make money online. They know about affiliate marketing. They know about the agency. They know about all these different things. And they're kind of in this stage where they're wondering which solution is the best thing for them. And then you aware is the smallest market, but it's also the hottest market that you can have, which is essentially like you guys with Blake. You know who Blake is. And so he's built all the trust to be able to come to you guys with a new offer that would take very little convincing or educating for you to take action on it. So in the unaware space, you really want to like channel their desires. So they have desires because everyone has human desires, but you want to channel them into what you're ultimately selling, pique their interest, and then you have to educate them. So we're going to use this example as we go through because I just, it was like a Fox News clip or something. And it was, did you know a chemical can be found in many homes that is responsible for 50% of lung cancer cases in the US, right? So I was totally unaware that that's a thing, but they've introduced me to it, and now that I'm aware of it, now they can start moving me down the path of educating me on it and everything, right? So they have to make the premise, this is what's happening. They back it up with a case study of a woman who had never smoked before, and then she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and it ended up being this mystery chemical that was tested, and they found it in many homes. Does anybody know what this mystery chemical is? Does anybody know what this is a real thing?
I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, so it's radon.
Okay.
A lot of people have in their households, right? So if they're problem aware, then you can come at them with the problem in mind. Like, you can open it up with the problem because they already have it, right? If they have knee pain, they're already aware that they have knee pain. So then you can come to them to solve that particular issue, right? So these are people who are problem aware, but they don't necessarily know that there's other solutions that exist in the market. So it's a bigger market. You can tap them earlier on. And it's kind of like a best of both worlds between that and solution aware. So an example with this same theme is 3 simple steps to eliminating radon gas from your home for good. So this would be the person who saw the unaware ad from before, right? They know that radon is a thing thanks to this, and so now you can come at them with this radon. Now you know that the radon gas is a problem. You need to go and solve it. Which is a thing, I'm like literally legitimately in that market right now, because now that I know that radon's a problem, I don't know if I got radon in my house, but it freaks me out thinking about it. Got kids and everything. So, and knowing about the avatar research, then you could bring that in, right? Yep. About the radon gas, and you've got children to worry about, and blah blah blah. And then we go to solution aware. So this is the best solution because, so again, they're aware of all the different things in the marketplace, and you need to come along and tell them why your solution is superior. So how this simple little device can detect even the smallest amounts of radon in your home within just 10 minutes. So this is usually where you're taking your solution, you're making it a little bit better than the last. I would guess that, in the agency space, if you're marketing to get clients, and a lot of your clients are going to be solution aware. Like, they're going to know that there's different things there's obviously, they know that there's different things they can use to be generating leads, but you need to come along and figure out why your solution is superior to everything else that they're seeing in the market.
Yeah. The best client acquisition ads I ever ran for my agency was me pitting myself against the other solutions in the market, right? So me as an agency doing SEO and Google ads, I pitted myself against the solution of like buying leads from Home Advisor and Angie and Thumbtack, right?
Right.
So yeah, there was like the crowd that was unaware. Like, I'm an electrician, my company's failing. I have no clue why. And there's the next level down problem where it's like, my company's failing and it's because I don't have enough appointments or customers.
Right.
There's solution aware. It's like, my company's failing, I don't have enough customers, and I'm starting to use Angie and Home Advisor to buy leads. And then there's you aware, where it's like, hey, dude, I know you're buying leads from Angie and they suck. Here's why we're better. Right.
Right.
And those ads crushed it for us.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that the next one, which is what Blake already mentioned, which is you aware, which is like, you can pretty much just say buy this. So like our best performing campaign, which has generated like 6 figures in under a month, is just pretty much targeting this you aware. So it's pretty much super small list, but you built all the trust and everything, and you like, we'll literally just send them text messages that are super short saying, hey, you want this thing? They're like, yep. They're all putting their hands up who are interested in it. So the ultimate goal is to get your you-aware market as large as possible. But I don't know if there's any real way to expedite that process. It's just kind of like, in a lot of ways, a byproduct of being in the market for a certain length of time and selling the same thing. So, yeah.
Can I ask a technical question about that really quick?
Yeah.
So I'm sure like the you-aware market, a lot of that, obviously a big chunk of that is going to live in your email list, like people who have been in your universe for a little bit of time, right? You may be getting into this later, but like, what's the you aware segment of your email list? Like creating a segment of people who have clicked on a link in your emails in the past 14 days, or like, what's the hot part of your CRM that y'all are looking at as the you aware audience?
Right. So, with this is just good from deliverability perspective as well, but with our emails, we'll send out daily emails. And so the way we do it is we segment them out. So if they've opened in the last, 0 to 3 days, 4 to 10 days, and we just kind of keep building it out and sandwiching the segments out like that. And we'll have like 75% open rates on 12,000 recipients in that 0 to 3 days. So those people become like hyper aware of us.
Yeah.
So that's like when we're talking about the campaign that I just referenced, where it's like our hottest market in the UAware. The real place that we're spotting those is like they booked a call and didn't buy. Those are the absolute hottest leads you can ever get.
Totally.
Because you're just going, because for whatever reason, if they booked a call and they didn't buy for whatever, maybe it was the wrong time, maybe the offer wasn't good enough. And so if you come back to them with something that's just slightly better, they're going to trip over themselves to find out more, right? They already know who you are. They've probably already been in call. All these things the boxes have been checked. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, and the daily email segmenting strategy, I don't really have anything else for UAware, because in the end of the day, you don't really know. You think that you're on more people's minds than you are. It's kind of like when you're running a campaign and it's really aggressive, or you feel it's really aggressive, and you're sending out 2 emails a day, and you're like, oh man, they must hate this. But then I get these emails a lot, and then I'm sure everyone here does, is like, you'll get an email that says, this is your last chance, and you open it up, and apparently there's been a campaign running for the past 2 weeks that you're not even aware that you've been receiving any of the emails. They're writing that email under the context of themselves thinking like, you've obviously seen this by now. It's like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about, right?
That's one thing that Bobby talked about a few weeks ago. That was, I wrote down a lot of notes from Bobby, and I'm already writing a lot of notes down from you. But he said, like, just pretend that 80% of your list just doesn't know you, and like they're not going to remember you. So like every email you write it with at least a slight sense of like, this person probably doesn't know who I am.
Right. Yeah, and that comes back. We'll talk about a little bit like the positioning of it. But with our emails, the ones that we're sending out, like on our behalf, like Bobby and I. And maybe you've seen this, Blake, because I think you're on the list. But I have like a little avatar thing at the very top. So it has a picture, and then underneath it'll have can't remember what Bobby's are probably too offensive to say on this call, but it's some, generated $20 million in online sales, cigar aficionado. Like there's just a few little quips like that. And then it goes into the email. And the idea is just, you don't know the context of which somebody's opening this up.
Sorry, you said like there's like a short little bio at the beginning of the email, because I haven't seen that.
So the way that I have it set up is if you're on mobile, it'll appear at the very top, right? And it'll just be like a little picture avatar, and then just a little blurb underneath, like his proof statements, and then just like some quirky stuff, and then the email will start. So when you open the email on your mobile device, it'll still like the text of the email will still appear underneath, like above the fold, but it's just enough to give context to it.
Gotcha.
If they're on mobile or if they're on desktop, it'll actually show up beside the text. So it'll be like the text is over here, and then the little kind of avatar thing.
I got you.
I got the idea because was it Dan Kennedy? I think Dan Kennedy would always end his emails with like a picture of himself at the bottom of it. And I always thought that was weird, because like that's where the least amount of traffic is ever going to get to, right? And the least amount of eyeballs. So you just keep establishing it at the top. But yeah, that's the idea there. And then we do the same on the welcome sequence that's performing really well. That's what we have that's what we have in the welcome sequence. So we're not using the daily emails for that campaign, which we probably should try testing it, but it is in those welcome emails. So it explains who he is and all that sort of stuff. Especially like if people just opt in off an ad. Like the amount of people who have no idea who you are when they opt in off an ad, and then you start writing to them as though, you're long lost friends. It doesn't work. But we'll talk about that in a second here, and then. So yeah, the pros.
I got you off track because I'm asking questions. So the one thing I love about these calls that we do is like I'm just a student and I'm asking a bunch of questions, but I'll let you get back on track now, man.
No, yeah, please ask questions. Because I don't know. What helps or. I mean, it comes to a certain point where you're doing it for so long, and it's like you forget what you're actually doing to make the thing work, I guess, becomes intuitive. So, So when we're looking at the awareness scales, the unaware market takes the longest to educate, and it's the largest market size. But then as you move to more aware, it slowly becomes more competitive and the market size shrinks, right? And so because everybody wants to tap into like the most aware segments of the market because that's the easiest place to make a sale, right? A lot of like when you see like a lot of offer promotions, that's getting into the most aware segments.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you have is like a race to the bottom, right? Because everyone's just like, oh, he made this offer where he's going to like double ROI guarantee. Well, I'm going to triple ROI guarantee, and then I'm going to right. So when you compete on those levels, it just doesn't work out in the long run. And that's why you'll see like the financial publishing space is that they've gotten themselves like they become so sophisticated in their claims that now they're making it so that they've been doing this for years, but now they're making it so you couldn't even identify what they're talking about until you buy the product. Like they literally won't tell you what the product is because they don't want you to be able to compare it to anybody. So one of their most popular promos was piggybacking off of Canadian Social Security, right? So that was the premise of it. And at no point at any point through that letter did it explain to you what it actually was until you bought. And then when you bought, you found out that Canadian Social Security buys a set of stocks. They keep investing into a set of stocks and they pay out dividends. So it's literally just like 5 dividend stocks. But instead of just telling you those stocks, which nobody would have cared about, they wrapped it up into this like big mysterious thing, and it reset the awareness levels all over again because they were unaware that even existed, right?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's the big overarching lesson of unique mechanisms, right?
Right.
Like I proactively tell people in Agency Collective, like for your client acquisition campaigns, I talk about like not letting the cat out of the bag, like an ad that says like, hey, we do SEO, hey, we do Google ads, like click here for amazing SEO services. Like you're just telling them what you do right off the bat. And in most cases, they're going to automatically, instantly associate you with a possibly negative experience they've had in the past with another agency. It's like, why would you tell them what they do and give yourself the chance to get negatively associated with something, as opposed to talking about a unique mechanism, piquing interest, everything you're talking about right here. But anyways, it's really, really good.
Right. Yeah. And the other side of that too is that, everybody is bombarded by all these different messages. And so all they're doing is just thinking like, what can I ignore? Their brain is looking for like all the things that they can ignore. So as soon as you present anything to them that they've heard before, they're going to ignore you. They can be like, okay, I don't care. And I can safely ignore this thing. And so that's another reason, that's why sophistication levels increase. Sophistication is really just outdoing the previous claim that you've had just to be able to get the same amount of attention that you would have been able to with the previous claim. Right. So it's like, years ago, acai berries were this special fruit found only in the Amazonian jungle, and it solves all your problems and everything, right? And then that like lived its life, and then so the next stage of that was fast action acai berries, or fast action relief from acai berries, or triple dissolved acai berries. Like there's all these different added benefits or mechanisms to the mechanism that enhances it and makes the promise true again. Right. So, okay. So let me, I think that's what I kind of covered here. Yeah. So angles. So the way that you want to look at angles is that everybody is overwhelmed. Everybody has a low attention span. Everybody is jaded, and everybody looking for dopamine, right? Nobody wants to see your ad. Nobody wants to listen to what you have to say, right? You have to, I think it was John Carlton that said that like he wants to like grab the person by the shoulders and like scream in their face, and like that's how they should feel. And they don't to take it further. He also said, I want that thing that they saw from me to nag them all day, that they can't get it out of their minds, that it was just so impressive, so interesting to them that they can't put it down. They can't file it in any kind of filing cabinet in their brain that this is only this. It's something so unique. right? So that's ultimately where you're getting to. That doesn't mean that for an ad to work, it has to do that. It's just kind of like, if you look at everything in copywriting as like the North Star, that's the ideal scenario that you're trying to get to.
Yep.
And then, even if you fail along the way, you can still produce a winning campaign.
Yep.
Like the selling water in the desert. You're not going to get yourself to selling water in the desert, but the closer you can get to yourself to that scenario, the better you're going to be. So yeah, right. I keep preempting the slides before I get to them, but yeah, you have to snap them out of their stupor with your extremely important message. So here's the next part. So 6 reasons people buy. There's more reasons people buy, but here's like 6 main ones that you can use, and we'll jump into ChatGPT with this again. But people are buying because they want to make money, they want to save money, they want to save time, save effort, energy. They want to look good, whether that's mentally or physically or whatever is going to increase their status. A great book recommendation is called The Status Game. If you've read that, or whoever hasn't read that, you should definitely get that. It's like super interesting just in general, but from a marketing perspective, to really understand how important status is to everything that we do. And then prevent something bad would be another thing. Prevent cancer, prevent losing all their money. Or that's actually like one of our biggest motivators, is that we don't want to lose something more than we want to gain something. So this is where kind of the magic of the ChatGPT comes in. So I'll pop into the bot. Oh man, I think you jinxed us, man. It lost everything we just did.
Did it really?
Yeah, first time ever.
In the avatar you built?
Yeah, let me see if it saved as a combo. Let me see if this is the one. Oh, okay, yeah, it saved as a combo. So the bot just reset. Whew. Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, so once we get to here, right, it's been programmed with all this stuff. So then we want to say, all right, so the next step of this will be, looks good. It should ask me about the offer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go. It's an agency. Hey, so it's a digital marketing agency. Over what period of time is the so what is it, like say a 6-month contract?
Mm-hmm.
And see what is a big difference maker. So yeah, what is a big thing that's going to get them this result versus other things that they've looked at?
Do you want like a unique mechanism name, or do you want like just the nuts and bolts of like what we're doing for them?
Yeah, just the nuts and bolts.
I guess just like increased visibility on all Google platforms. Like if someone's doing like SEO and Google Maps and Google Guaranteed, like all of the visibility on all the Google products and platforms.
So like GVP, all that stuff, right?
Organic maps.
Sure. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's good.
Yep. Okay, so now it's going to go through and it's going to give you 10 ways to check off each of the boxes on the 6 reasons they'll buy. So 10 ways that your service can help them make money, 10 ways you can help them save money, save time, save effort, right? Help them look good, and then prevent something bad from happening in their lives.
Yeah.
Right.
And some of these are going to be banger headlines, like for your ad.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the whole thing. So once you seed it with this, and then so I'm also going to add in, which I haven't got to, and I'm not going to switch screens just to show it. But the other place that's great for angles is the 1-sentence persuasion. The 1-sentence persuasion is anybody will do anything for somebody who confirms their suspicions, justifies their failures, throws rocks at their enemies, allays their fears, and encourages their dreams, right? And so that idea comes from a book called Forbidden Keys of Persuasion, which was a guy who studied cults for decades. And so that's a great book. And then he went and summarized this into a book called The 1-Sentence Persuasion. And so you can boil it all down to just these 5 things. And if you actually look at it, and you probably wouldn't ask ChatGPT, if you looked at, the political climate, every politician probably has all of this stuff listed out that they're just checking all these boxes, right? Throwing rocks at their enemies, like creating these us versus them dichotomies and all this stuff. So we'll throw that in there too. Let me just paste that in. So All right, now let's do it for the one sentence persuasion. Oh, this is actually, I think this is actually higher in this bot. Oh yeah, it's here. Okay, so we have it up here. So throw rocks at their enemies. So enemies, overpriced marketing services, poor lead quality and low conversion rates, outsmart your competitors, encourage their dreams, becoming the go-to electrician in your community, visualize a steady stream of customers calling you daily, right? So now you can start going through this and looking for different angles that you can run with, just as Blake was saying, right? Yeah. So you could literally open your ads with this. Reduce spending on low performing ads, probably.
Yeah, I'm seeing ones like that are like, you know, the solution aware or you aware crowd, but then I'm seeing others that are like, you know, just the more bird's eye view, maybe not even problem aware crowd of like talking about the dreams of growing an electrician company or whatever. That's right. Gonna be good for like the not so nuanced audience, and then stuff like, hey, here's how to increase your return on ad spend for your electrician company. That's like the more problem aware. So it's a lot of good different types of ideas.
Nice. So discover how to get high quality leads without breaking the bank. Learn how our proven strategy optimize your ad spend and boost your ROI. See how our targeted approach ensures every dollar works harder for you. Find out how we can help electricians like you. So the big thing with this, with ChatGPT, and why maybe you've seen like a lot of copywriters who are being like, it's kind of a pain to use, is those aren't really quite where you want them to be out of the box. But the thing with ChatGPT is like, if you looked at it as a junior copywriter who will never get mad based on how many times you ask it a question, that's kind of the best way to use it. So you just keep drilling in. You can bring in templates, which I'll show you here in a second as well. But you can bring in templates and things like that to keep getting it to where you want to go. But the biggest thing that I use it for, and the biggest value I find, is like doing all that pre-work that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And, you know, being able to, you know, it's like when you paint a room, the worst part about painting a room is getting everything ready. Actually putting the paint on the wall is like the easy part.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah. That's the way that I would look at this. So, but yeah, there's tons of different ways that you can break off of this. And I would say that, you know, this is more than enough to generate clients and generate leads for your clients and things like that. You can go way deeper.
Just the ideation of it, you know, like as a copywriter, you get stuck, you know, this is like an unstuck factory.
Right. And like, you can get deeper and you go like, okay, well, what about like writing prediction leads and all these different things? Like, yeah, you can go down that path, but it's probably not necessary. Like depending on how much you're spending. Like if you go back to like the financial publishing space, it's like they need to have those absurd big ideas that like rattle everything, and they'll produce, you know, their whole thing is like just throwing mud at the wall. So they'll produce like 50 different sales letters, and it's like they only need one to hit to make millions of dollars. That's kind of the processes they're using, right?
Yep.
So they have the best copywriters in the world, paying them all $2,000 a month, and all of them are just taking a swing for the fences just to get the royalties. That's the entire business model over there. And that's not, you know, that's not our business model. That's not anybody on this call's business model. So there's no reason to try and emulate that or think that that's superior copy. Not to mention that they're getting sued into the ground because the FTC hates everything that they do. So that's an entire rotting industry. But yeah, as I said, it's weird that the North Star of copywriting is like, you know, lawsuits and getting thrown in jail and everything. That's like the best.
It's like how if the whole goal is to make someone feel like you're grabbing them by the shoulders and shaking them, well, we have to say some pretty extreme things,
right?
But we can't exactly say like my thing is going to make your life heaven on earth. Like we can't go so extreme with it to where it's ridiculous, and so it's a cat and mouse game, right?
Right.
Like how far? Obviously, we all need to be compliant and whatnot, but yeah, it's like always going to be a thing, right?
Right. So I think that's what this next part is. So this has been all pretty standard stuff, I realize, up until this point, but you know, basic fundamentals that we need. But so the next part we'll go into here is authority. So let me share this one.
Cool.
So I call this the authority matrix, right? And it looks overwhelming at the start here, but if you look at it from the perspective on this left-hand side, we have the offer, So this takes a ton of work to deliver the offer. You're like, running all the ads and calling all the leads and closing all the deals for them, right? That would be like a really painful offer that you have to deliver. Up here, you don't have to really do anything, right? And then the level of authority that you have in the marketplace. So if you have no authority in the marketplace whatsoever, versus like you're, at the very top, and then how much you can command for that offer, right? So down here is NP. So this is like the Nigerian prince that shows up in your inbox saying like, yeah, just send me $50 and I can unlock like $50 million and we're going to split it and all this sort of stuff, right? That is an absurdly attractive offer on the surface. But the only reason you don't do it is because the person who's showing up in your inbox has no authority built with you, whatsoever, right? You have no trust at all. Whereas on the other side, if you go up here, like if I put EM for Elon Musk, like if Elon Musk went and said like, $50,000 and we'll go out for dinner and you can pick my brain and ask me any question that you have, the people would be lined up out the block to pay Musk 50 grand for this, right? And so this is what you're ultimately trying to get to, is like the higher the authority, the easier everything else will become. Yeah. Because the promises, like Blake is saying about, you have to make these insane promises to grab people. The promise is going to fall on deaf ears if there's no authority attached to it when they hear that message, right? Yeah. So like the Nigerian prince is making an amazing promise and you're ignoring it because you don't trust them at all. And then Musk doesn't really have to make any promise at all. And you're going to trip over yourselves to make it happen. Like, I think Gary Vee is actually doing this. I think you pay him $10,000 to go and pitch your product idea to him or some insane offer like that, right? And people are doing it. People are paying him 10 grand to be able to sit in a room with him for 15 minutes to pitch this thing to him because he has all this authority that's built up. So the trick on this one, and ChatGPT can't really help you because you're gonna have to go and do it, is list out all of your proof, everything that you can think of. You want to have a document that just has, the longer, if this thing is 50 pages, that's terrific. That's how much you want. So all the credentials that you have, all the things that you can think that lend your past or your current skills to what your promise is going to be. Any third-party proof that you can think of, like if you're just getting started, third-party proof is obviously huge to kind of back up whatever claims you're making. Any case studies that you have, any results that you have that you can show. And then what that does is it takes these kind of promises inside your ads and emails and everything, like how to generate 50 leads a month, which is LIMP, to how we're generating 50 leads a month for 37 clients across the nation, right? So just by infusing those little kind of positioning pieces in there, it becomes way more believable. There's all that proof that's backing it up. And so they're going to be more receptive to the message that you're trying to put out there.
That's really smart.
So that's like, this is everything. As and Bobby will contest, and other people that I'm talking to, is like, as we're going, it's like, man, this is all it is, right?
Yeah.
Because if you see, Bobby and I, you can use it as an example. Like, if I write a post for Bobby on his wall, it'll blow up. If I write that post and put on my wall, nobody cares, right? But it's all just because Bobby has all this great positioning that he's built up, that they're going to be more receptive and be like, oh, I want to hear what this guy has to say, right? So it's not so much the words that are being said, it's who's saying them.
Yeah. As you build that brand up, your audience builds up, of course, and your audience becomes a distribution channel for whatever you want to put out, and just makes selling things so much easier, right? It's like if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson came out with a dog food brand tomorrow, it'd be an 8-figure run rate company, like on day one. Yeah. And it's not because the dog food's really good. Logan Paul's Prime is probably just another drink, but they did 1.2 billion in year one because of his influence and authority and platform.
Right.
It's wild to think about, But this is good. I need to do this. I need to, because we've helped hundreds of people, maybe into the thought. We've helped hundreds of people for sure. I need to list a bunch of, social proof stuff like that on a document, feed it to ChatGPT, and then be like, hey, write, an array of emails that mix in, I don't know, poking at their pain, piquing interest, sharing them some results or whatever. It's kind of cool how you can just feed it like all this data and have it write some skeleton copy structures for you. It's pretty amazing.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, everything you're saying is spot on. So when you're coming at this from like not having any proof or any affinity built with the person that you're marketing to, then it's always just trying to figure out how you can slide in little lines of proof throughout. And like even with third party proof, like say you're making a statement, you want to figure out like maybe you're making a statement that was made by Musk, for example. So say you're in a situation where like nobody knows who Elon Musk is, but he's got credentials to back up the statement. You would list out everything about him. So you'd be like, the quote that I have in mind from him is something like, "Entrepreneurship is staring into the abyss while chewing on glass." Right. So it's like, okay, that could be a nobody that said that. That's kind of interesting. But then when you back up that it was Musk that said it, who has launched how many businesses, is the most successful entrepreneur on the planet right now, it adds all this new credibility to the statement, right? So you would want to add that in there, like from Elon Musk, founder of SpaceX, richest man in the world, whatever it is, right? So you're adding all the credibility and putting all the weight on the person that you're quoting, so that the weight of your statement has more effect, right? Ben Settle is a master at this. I don't know if you've checked out much of Ben Settle stuff. No. So man, he'll introduce somebody and it'll be a paragraph of just introducing him before he then makes the statement that guy had said. And you don't actually realize he's doing it because he does it in such a good way, like such a slick way. It wasn't until like he sent out a newsletter where he was explaining that's what he's doing. I was like, oh, right, of course. I see. I see what it is.
And so the strategy behind that is like, then he goes on to talk about his own company and just like the authority kind of seeps into what now he's saying. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So it all lends itself. So that would just be different ways to do it. So, if you're another way for the agency side to do it would be, we're on track to generate 5,000 leads this year or whatever it is, right? So as soon as you say that, like we're on track to generate 5,000 electrical appointments this year, and here's how we can help you, blah blah blah, right? It's like as soon as that statement is made, now the next statement has the effect that you're trying to get to, and you can do it without making like more outrageous claims because they just trust you. That's the other thing too, is like as your authority builds up, like you become more compliant FTC wise, right? Because you're not having to make outrageous claims to get the same amount of attention.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
The more like, it's like the more better things you can say about the past, the less great things you have to say about the future. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so, and once you have the authority, and like, this is how I like to do things, is like, you can make a claim, but then you can diffuse it, like I generated 300 leads for this electrician in Florida. Will I get the exact same results for you? I don't really know, but based on XYZ, if you check off these boxes, that's possible. So now you made it way more believable, right? Yeah. Because everyone's walking around full of skepticism, right? Everybody is jaded. Nobody believes any of the promises that you're making. So if you can almost like deflate them and bring in like qualifying statements to make your statement true, then it becomes much more believable, which is like the entire name of the game, right? Like believability is more important than the truth. Like if you went into a client's business and actually did generate them 500 leads and doubled their business in the first 7 days, that's not, if they don't believe you, then you're not going to get anywhere, right?
Yeah. I feel like all the crazy guarantee stuff that people have been doing the past like couple of years, it's reached a point of like people just don't believe anything.
Right.
Close to about a year ago, we stopped talking about any kind of stuff. Like we stopped doing any kind of crazy or you don't pay guarantee type stuff. And like, people would actually tell us on sales calls, man, what really piqued my interest about you guys is that y'all didn't have any of those stupid guarantees. Like we were closing deals because we didn't have a guarantee.
Right. Yeah.
And it just comes down to like the credibility thing. What you said a second ago about the but statements or whatever, it reminds me of like something Alex Hormozy would talk about or taught in one of his books or whatever about like, you can say, hey, we'll do this amazing thing, this amazing thing, this amazing thing, but you have to be willing to XYZ, right? And it just adds credibility to the first part of the statement.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
As opposed to just saying like, we'll do this, this, and this. It's going to be amazing, and it's going to be no work. Do you want in? And they're like,
Right.
hold on a second, what's the catch?
Yeah, exactly. Like you might be able to get away with, maybe you can get away with it for the headline because people wanted to suspend disbelief.
Yeah.
They want it to be true, right? Everybody wants that, crazy promise to be true. And if you can pick them up in the second or third line of your copy and kind of balance the boats out sort of thing, you might be able to get away with it. But yeah, that's the main focus is like believability and infusing as much authority and positioning as you can. Because that's the other thing too is like a lot of people struggle with writing copy or writing good copy, and the reason is because they haven't done all the stuff that we've led up to this point with, right? Because really, I can't remember who said it, but it's like you don't write copy, you assemble it. So you should have so much, and that'll make more sense as we go forward here. But you should just have so much stuff that you can pull from that you're really just like plopping it on the page, right? So you have your proof statements. I'm plopping that on the page, and I have a promise. I'm going to plop that on the page, which is what we'll go into next year.
Cool.
So,
Sorry I continue to derail you, but this stuff is just so good. I have so much stuff popping into my mind. But all right,
no, this is super helpful.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, back to the slide deck. We're on the slide deck. Perfect. Okay. Well, that was helpful. All right. So here's a random ad that just popped up on my wife's Facebook. So I was like, oh wait, let me screenshot that so we can break this down. So this is what I was talking about, where like you can reverse engineer copy, and then write to it, and then kind of create all the templates that you could ever need or dream of. And within your market, outside of your market. So I'm in Canada. So Alberta teachers, summer's almost here and it's your time to shine. Now's the time to start planning out the perfect summer break, and it could include moving into your new home. I've created an exclusive program just for teachers and education professionals. In addition to finding your best rates and terms from over 40 of Canada's top lenders, you'll get access to an exclusive rate discount. For all the details, you can visit my website by clicking Learn More, right? And then there's this stupid kind of Hail Mary thing that he throws at the bottom here. But all of these messages can then be broken down and then turned into templates, right? So if we go through this, I just pasted this all out. So he's actually opening with an avatar call out, right? So Alberta teachers, summer is almost here, so it's timely. The desirable income, which is really over here. I didn't like this. I'm not saying this is a good copy. Like I don't actually like the copy here, but there is some good elements to it. Desirable outcome. Now's the time to start planning out the perfect summer break, and it can include moving into your new home. So I'd say, instead of this whole line, I'd probably say, if you're looking to move into your new home, I've got just the thing. Or if you're looking to move into your new home this summer, I've got just the thing to help you. Right? I'd probably say something more like that. Cool thing. So this is like the widgety thing of creating an exclusive program just for teachers and educational professionals. The benefit of the cool thing, and then a call to action, and then I put this Hail Mary things here. So because I would include that. That's I don't know, Blake, if you guys have ever run ads like this, but like from a copywriting perspective, I mean, you never deviate from like the main rule of one, right? The rule of one is like one call to action, one main premise, all that sort of stuff. So for
pretty much. Yeah, I wouldn't do that at the end either. Like pretty much all of my Facebook ads end with the simple phrase like, click below to see exactly how this works. And that's it. Because up until that point, I've like done some of this stuff, called the audience, talk about either a pain point or desired outcome, hinted at a widget type of thing, explained to them about the possibility of them getting it and solving all their problems, and then like a call to action. It's like trying to pique interest, and then call to action. So I wouldn't do like the whole 2 more sentences after the call to action thing either.
Yeah. So then so the idea here is that then you have a template, right? So avatar call out, attention electricians, right? If you're looking to generate more jobs while saving money on advertising and marketing, business, I've got just the thing. I've created an exclusive lead gen system that is proven. So, a minimum 50 leads a week across 27 different electrician businesses in the United States. Right. So that's probably the benefit of the cool thing. So like this is the cool thing is the lead gen system. And then you'd have this down here. Oops. Yeah, and that's fine. And then I'll just, whoops, and I'll just get rid of this.
Yeah.
Hail Mary
And a big like positive benefit to the way you wrote out the benefit of the cool thing is that it involves data. It's not like, man, this is going to make your business explode. This is like, no, we're generating 50 leads a week across 27 different electricians. It's like data based.
Right. And that's the authority stuff too. So you're adding in the positioning and the authority to make all the other statements that you're saying much more believable. Right. Yeah. So I'll just always be looking at how you can add that stuff in there. Like some of our best ads for like generating agency clients, I'm pretty sure the way I wrote it was just like opening, attention industry. Does this system work right now? Check it out. And then it's just like 10 testimonials in print. And then if you want to hear more, click here.
Really?
Right? Like that's all it is. Because everybody just wants to hear everyone wants to know if it works. Like if you boil it all down, like if I know with absolute conviction that if I give you my credit card, I'm going to get XYZ result, I will give it to you. That's the only thing getting in the way is I just don't know for whatever reason why this thing won't work. And that's what the copy is doing, is just overcoming those objections along the way to get them there.
Yeah. And same thing with all the social proof on a landing page and whatnot. If they're seeing 30 people say that it works, it doesn't even matter what it is.
Right.
Like they just want to, just like whatever you said, Elon Musk could offer anything for 10 grand. People just line up. It doesn't even like matter exactly what they're getting, but
right.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like to the testimonial thing too, like a lot of, one of the main objections, which I didn't cover it here is, which is put into the framework of timer. So people I don't have enough time, identity. I don't know if I can make this work. Money objection, energy objection, and then reputation. But identity is a big one, right? Like, I don't know if it'll work for me. Sure, maybe it'll work for them because of XYZ, but it won't work for me because of ABC, right? And so that's why, like, when you have testimonial pages, is if you, instead of having a million testimonials, if you target in on a specific avatar and then only have testimonials from, stay-at-home moms, right? And you're targeting stay-at-home moms, and they can see over and over again why this stay-at-home mom who didn't have time just like you, who didn't have this just like you, was able to make this work. Then they're like, oh, okay, well, if it worked for them, why wouldn't it work for me, right? You want to get them to that point. Same reason why, like, you have people who will book a call to talk to you and everything sounds good to them. And they're like, yeah, but do you have someone who's doing exactly this thing? Can I talk to that person? That's an identity thing. They want to make sure that it'll work for them specifically.
Yep.
Right. And you can preempt all of that in the copy before they even come to the sales call.
Yep. They want to feel understood. And that your solution is for their exact problem. Right. I would tell people, like, when I'm on a sales call, like as I'm about to close, I would kind of do a version of that where almost like a pull away. And I'd be like, well, before we move forward, like, I want to make sure like this is the perfect solution for your exact problem, like square peg in a square hole type of thing. So do you, and then I would like start to qualify them, right? But in a way, kind of like communicating to them that this is exactly for them, because if they have XYZ problem, like this is going to solve all those exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So yeah, to this point, it's just like, you can go to the Facebook ads library and look for people who have run an ad over, like they keep launching the ad over and over again. You know that that ad is probably their control. It's probably working. So then you could go and just go reverse engineer it. And then you have the persuasive flow of that ad to use for yourself, right? Versus like, a bunch of template, like fill in the blank templates. The problem, there's a couple of reasons that fill in the blank templates are hard to make work. Because one, like no template is going to work the same across every single industry.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, it really constricts you down into like, just swap this one variable. With this strategy, you can, and why I use this over templates is that you can hone this in as much or as little as you want. So the more honed in you get, the more constrictive it gets, the more difficult it becomes to write to it, because you're like, I don't really have something for that exact kind of line. Whereas if you keep it loose, it might be a little bit hard to come up with the persuasive copy, but it'll be easier for you to write to. I did do another example, but I don't know if this is helpful. Like, should I go further with this, or?
It's helpful for me. I'm obviously enjoying it. I'm asking a billion questions. I'm pretty sure people are just like sitting back, taking in the value. But yeah, no, that was great.
All right, I'll do one more example of it.
Okay, cool.
And then we can open up questions if there are any. So this was the post that we posted for the call. I've used this quite a few times in the past to like get people to a call, and I know it works because people have come to the call and be like, yeah, I just came because of that post. So this is like a persuasive structure that you could use over and over again that always works. And then we'll go into how to reverse engineer it. So if you ever felt confused or overwhelmed with what to say in your copy, I did. Back in 2010, I would stare at a blank screen with absolutely no clue what to say. Eventually just wing and hoping for the best. Unsurprisingly, I never made any money. I started to become ashamed of my lack of success. I'd been at it for 6 damn years. I was hiding PayPal receipts from my wife, and later found out my friends and family were saying like, oh, there's James with his crazy business ideas again. The only thing that kept me going was a genuine hatred for my job. I despise the hotel industry, plus my work hours. Anyways, so I go through that. And then one day I came across a Facebook post. So I'm an accomplished copywriter offering to mentor people just like me. I ended up making the biggest investment I had up until that point. And when the first assignment was handed out, I immediately thought, what did I do? I knew I wasn't cut out for this. Kind of keep going down into all the horrible stuff that happened. And then I started to realize that all copy is built on replicable frameworks. It's not special. It's not this mysterious, esoteric skill that only a select few among us will ever possess. It's something that anybody can do. Since that realization, I've gone on to generate millions of dollars in my copy, and I've held the position of a CMO as a high-ticket marketing agency since 2019, and then like call to action. So like I didn't just sit down and just write that, right? Like I just had a flow that I just followed. So if you look at it, like if you break it down, you reverse engineer it, I'm asking an open-ended question. So you could slot in any open-ended question here to tag into somebody, right? Like, are you suffering from knee pain that gets worse from 5 to 7 p.m., right? Like it's an open-ended question. I did, right? I know what that feels like. And then despair. So that I'm telling the story of how that painful situation affected my life. And then I talk about a discovery, the thing that like was going to get me out of that, right? So I discovered this thing that was going to solve all my problems. And then the discovery kind of doesn't go exactly as planned. And then I had an epiphany. And then I realized that all of a sudden, all the copy was built on replicable frameworks, right? And it's super easy to do. Anybody can do it. And Reveal is, because I call it the order story framework, but Reveal is like the CTA. So you reveal what to do next. And so you can, write copy to this framework all day, and you could get more granular. You could start to go down and break down like each area of what's being done in the copy. And then you could follow that, or you could leave it as open as this and kind of just wing it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's great, man. By the way, in the despair section of this particular piece of copy, man, you get into one like piece of pain or despair that I wish more copywriters would, and it's like the what are they thinking about me behind my back type of thing. So right there it says, and later found out my friends and family are saying things like, oh, there's James with this crazy business. Dude, that is a deep pain point. If you can somehow relate that to like, I mean, like writing B2B copy, agency acquisition copy for like roofers or whatever. If you're going like this with this like long form copy route, a line that could be relevant could be like, I'm starting to think my wife is fed up with my entrepreneurial ventures because we haven't been able to, metaphorically put food on the table every month, right? Like this notion of like, what are other people, especially the people closest to me, my spouse, what are they thinking about my lack of success, and how the hell am I going to fix this?
Right.
That's a deep pain point.
Yeah. I was just talking to a buddy of mine who, I don't know where he read it from, but he's just constantly reading. He's just this fountain of knowledge. And he said that the worst emotion that will destroy anybody is humiliation. That's like the worst experience that someone can have is humiliation. So just like you're saying there. And then in your guys' situation where, you're not like I'm writing, it's easy for me because I'm writing to you from my own experiences, because then you'll be able to relate to them. Like the PayPal receipts, I got that because I saw someone else write that in their copy, and I was like, I do that, and it creates like this kind of bond, like, oh, okay, we kind of understand each other, right?
Yeah.
We were in that same boat. So you can keep listing out the different ways that takes place. But to get these kind of stories, then it would be like interviewing clients, right? So if your client was like, yeah, we're 3 months from shutting it all down, I felt like a major failure, all this sort of stuff, you could infuse that and then explain how you saved the day, right? Yeah. And that's
that's good, because like in that case, you don't have to put yourself in the seat of shame. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've seen people like make organic posts on social media that are like, and as little as a year ago, I was in $100,000 worth of debt and this and this and this, but now I have this successful company. And it's like, man, you probably could achieve the same outcome without like saying that you were nothing a year ago. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there's like a fine balance of it, because whether it's you or one of your social proof like customers, like people need to identify people.
Right.
And like, I love how you mentioned like the whole humiliation, shame, like that's one of the deepest cuts, like one of the deepest pains, because we definitely don't need to get into this, but like, I mean, let's go back 20,000 years where being, shunned from the community meant you were going to die. Like it's a survival thing, And so, I don't know, a lot of interesting stuff, man. I can talk about this stuff for hours, as you can probably tell.
Yeah. That's what, one of the things that stuck out to me in the status game. So they did a study with monkeys. I'll butcher it, but the idea is there. They did a study with monkeys, and there was the alpha monkey and the second in command. The second in command was suffering from like, all these kind of ailments and everything like that, right? And whatever took place, the alpha was dethroned and became put into second place, and it then began to suffer all the same ailments that the previous monkey was suffering from. So it's like status is a major, major issue for us. So apparently, when someone has high status and then is humiliated and dropped from their high status publicly, that's like, suicidal territory, just because it was, so public that they experienced that. So yeah, status is huge. So talking about this copy, like the despair copy, what you're talking about as well is, there's a time and a place for it. It's not, don't use it all the time. If you're looking for, like, if I were looking for the top electricians in town who want to like go out and build a second location, and I'm talking about this electrician who was like 3 months away from losing it all, that's like a mismatch. That electrician isn't going to see themselves in that copy. The goal is for the person to see themselves in it and relate to it and become emotionally invested. And then when you produce the call to action, then it's like, okay, this makes sense, right? Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah, that's probably a big area where people kind of get confused about maybe that's kind of something, is like when to know when to use the right copy is kind of one of the biggest struggles, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then when in doubt, test it all.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have no idea what's going to work. I mean, with us, it's like if you just read like the top 3 sentences of the ad, that can have dramatically different results, right? Because it's like those first 3 pieces of that people are going to read. It's like it's the idea from back in the day, like the Mad Men days, is like you spend 80% of your time on the headline. If nobody reads that, then it's dead in the water anyways.
Yeah. I think something Bobby said a couple of weeks ago as well is like you guys would find a pretty winning piece of copy, and then over time like reuse it, but just change out the first line and see see what else would work.
Yeah, exactly the same idea. Yeah, it like brings a whole new life to it all over again. But I think Bobby's talked about that before, where he'll like go and change like one sentence in the 3rd paragraph, and all of a sudden the ad comes back to life for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's another thing I got from Bobby as well. The whole like refresh strategy, where you're like forcing the system to put your ad back through the optimization phase, and it kicks it back into performance. He has all those.
He's got the ad buying schemes down to it.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much for this. Is just like a shitload of value, just like Bobby's session. This was fantastic, man. The GPT thing, I guess, not to ask you too soon, but you'll be dropping that for everyone, it sounded
Yeah,
like?
I'll just give it to you. You can just drop it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's awesome. Did anyone else have any final questions or anything? Or James, did you have anything else you were going to go over? I'm trying to be respectful of your time because we're already like 20 minutes over, but this was so good. I didn't really want to interrupt the flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean the kind of just what I was saying. Like once you get the Chat GPT to that point, then that's when you start going like, write me this ad. Because if you go and reverse engineer these ads like I showed you, and then go and take that framework and plug it in and say, now write me an ad to this framework.
Yeah.
And the one prompt that I've discovered, because I bought like I spent probably $1,000 on prompts thinking like, oh, they figured something out. You start to figure out like nobody's got anything figured out. But one addition to your prompts, if you're using ChatGPT, is to say no sentence should be longer than 12 words.
Yes. I
Add that
was going to
in there,
mention
guys.
that earlier. I've tried
Yeah,
that one time and I was like,
yeah.
write a social media. Sorry, I cut you off. I was like, I told ChatGPT, like, write a social media post about X, Y, Z. And I think all I said was like, keep the sentences as short as possible. And
Mhm.
that made it like from a level 2 to a level 7 in terms of like how colloquial it was. You know what I mean? And I was
Right.
like, okay, I
Yeah.
can actually maybe use some of this copy. So that's a great point.
Yeah. 12 words is weird because I've used like shorter and everything. 12 words. I don't know why, because I don't even think it ever comes close to even writing 12-word sentences
Yeah.
anyway, but it'll shorten them down to like 3 to 4 words and it'll look a lot more like the direct response style copy that you're looking for, where it's like, 3 to 4 word sentences.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing. Like if you throw that in with it, that'll cinch it all up. So like that combined with putting these frameworks in, seed the chat window with all that information, and just drill it and go back and forth with it, and it should start to produce okay copy. Won't produce the best copy, but it's kind of like, you produce copy that's 80% of the way there versus paying a copywriter thousands of dollars to guess at
Yeah.
maybe writing something that's going to work for you, right? So
And then your avatar at a deep level, you can
mhm,
get it from the 80% to the 97%, just by changing out a few phrases here and there.
right. Yeah, I would also like the other thing too to seed that even more, like give it more context is, go through Facebook groups, go through forums, go through all those places where your avatar is, and grab that stuff and put it into this GPT, into the
Mhm.
bot. So you're seeding it and you're guiding it more, and it'll start to pull all the information that you need um, to create. Actually, one thing that I forgot to mention is once you have this thing seeded, go and ask it to write a page of the prospect's diary. That's
Mm.
sometimes where
Wow.
the best stuff you'll ever find is. And then you can be like, make it sadder, or what, like make it more
Dude,
make
that's
it more grim.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what do you think this business owner is concerned that his wife might be thinking about him because his business is failing?
Right. Yeah.
Get so detailed. That was like the despair thing, right?
Yeah.
Man,
We'll finish.
yeah, I
We'll
guess you're
finish on
thinking how
that.
much data. There's so many good questions you can ask it.
Yeah. This is almost where it's better. It's almost better at like fiction writing, anyways. And so when you do a diary, we'll do it. So write a page of this prospect's diary discussing how he feels like he is failing his family with this.
God. Dear diary, I can't shake this heavy feeling in my chest today. It's like a constant weight pressing down on me, reminding me of how much I'm failing. Every time I look at Maria and the kids, the guilt washes over me like a tidal wave. I've invested so much into this business, our time saving streams. Maria has been so supportive, always encouraging, but I see the worry in her eyes. Good grief, man.
Yeah, man.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
And if it was me, I'd be like, "Oh, but you summarize this into 2 sentences." I would like try to take the golden nuggets, But this
Right.
is this is wild.
Yeah, I mean, you could just
That's
do
real
that,
good.
right? Pull out the most uh, heart pulling comments and number them.
Yeah, I started this business with the dream of giving them a better life, but now it feels like I'm letting them down.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be a provider, the rock for my family, but right now I feel more like a sinking ship. Dang. Like obviously we don't want to like write an entire huge piece of ad copy that's like doom and gloom, but like one of these inserted into the quote unquote like pain or despair short chunk of the copy could be like the difference maker between it hitting the pain, like actually hitting, striking a nerve or not,
Yeah, exactly. Like you'd also write a page of this prospect's diary discussing something he is scared of happening in the future, even though his business is on solid ground right now. This is probably more of like who your avatar. Yeah, Maria even mentioned to see how nice it is to see me less stressed. But despite all this, I can't help this gnawing fear lurking in the back of my mind. I keep thinking about the what ifs. What if the leads dry up? What if another competitor moves into the area with better rates or more aggressive marketing? What if we have an unexpected expense that wipes out our savings? That's good.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, like that's a good ad angle in general, or like presenting, what was it? Not the first one, the second one. Yeah, these two, those are two good lines. Like
What if leads
things are
dry
going
up?
well, but what happened?
What if a competitor moves into the area? What about unexpected expenses? Man, those are all so good.
Yeah. So you're still tapping like the pain points of someone who's crushing it, to get them to sell, because people are buying a solution to a pain that they have, right? So there has to be pain. Yeah.
That's so good. I do actually have a meeting in 2 minutes, but I'm so glad this went long, and I really appreciate it, and thank you for that. Like on behalf of everyone, this was awesome. We should definitely have you back if you're willing later, sometime in the future. It'd be really, really cool. Dude, drop me the link to that chat GPT. I'll speak on behalf of the group. We are very appreciative of that, but this is great, man. I feel like you and I could talk about this stuff for hours, but we talked about a lot of really impactful stuff today. Man, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
All right, man. Take care.
Cool. Everyone have an awesome day. All right. See you later. Bye.